Real podcast, because wrestling needs us. Brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. Go to KingofAmazon.com when you do your shopping for Amazon to help the King of Podcasts. Shop for Amazon at KingofAmazon.com.
Thanks for joining me for another Wrestling is Real podcast. I really appreciate you all joining me here on the program and looking for my website, WrestlingIsReal.com. I've done some more changes to the website so that if you're looking for it on the mobile site, it's going to be much easier for you to go ahead and find all the archives there so you can go check it out for yourself. Plus, I have so much more. One of the things I also put up there that I wanted to go and point out to all of you is a new ad that I put up there, display ad for DDP Yoga, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. Latest sponsor to the Wrestling is Real podcast. Very thankful and happy after all this time we got DDP Yoga on board as a sponsor. I'll go ahead and tell you all about that in a little bit later on. But in the meantime, if you want to go and check it out for yourself, you can go to WrestlingIsReal.com, look for the ad on the website, and if you want to click through there, you can actually go and get yourself set up with DDP Yoga and the whole program and learn all about it and get it at a great discount. You can go right now, look for the DDP Yoga ad at WrestlingIsReal.com, click right through, and you'll go right to it. All right, so as I'm recording right now, a lot of things happening when it comes to news because we have riots going on in Minneapolis, Minnesota following the stupid and uncalled for murder on site of a person that was being arrested and being detained, a black man by the name of George Floyd. Now, here's what I got to say about this. The normal, expected response of systematic racism, the mobilization of Black Lives Matter, and thus looting, violence, flag burning, protests, and all of that shit. That's going to happen. The cops, in this incredible mistake, the cops that were on site to take down this guy who was giving out forged bills, right? The stupidity of the damn cops in this case, because not all cops can be this bad. This is, I mean, I have to believe, listen, we know there are bad cops. We know that cops in certain areas are going to handle citizens in a certain way. I get that part, depending on the neighborhood that they're in. And it's some of these big cities that don't have this shit done right. This is why Chicago, Milwaukee, Los Angeles, New York, and other places, cops don't have any respect from anybody because it is partially on them and it's partially on the citizenry for how they're acting on things. So tonight, we're seeing the same thing over and over again. This stupid bullshit, you know, this is going to go worldwide. Somebody's got you on camera on so many different angles. I saw 3 or 4 angles today, and I knew this was going to happen once again. And here we go, same bullshit. Are people going to feel better going to Target, robbing themselves a 4K TV flat screen for their house? It doesn't matter. The businesses that are going to get shut, that are going to get burned down, I already saw there's a Wendy's, a AutoZone, and a Target getting looted and burned. Not the Target, but necessarily the Wendy's and the AutoZone, which were unoccupied. Who knows how long they were closed down because of the coronavirus. And now those businesses are going bad. Like, yeah, they're chains, but still, people that were working there, people that are, franchising those places are screwed now. All this goes on. Yes, this all is attributed to the fact that somebody did something so stupid. And yes, it happened like that. I don't deny that. Okay? I don't deny that there is some systematic racism out there in this country. And there's a bunch of cities and a bunch of people that are they're in a rough spot. And I get that part too. Okay, I know there are people in this audience that I listen to that maybe things are you're not in the best of places, the best of times. And first of all, we're all upset and frustrated as shit right now because of this pandemic right now. We're still dealing with a lot of things with lockdowns. and masks and all this protective stuff that we're doing and being locked, feeling like some of our freedoms are being taken away from us. I get all that too. I am with you right there. And there are just, when I look at, if you're in a city and the cops don't handle shit right and there's crime across the board and things are not being done right, this kind of stuff can happen. And this, it got caught on tape. So, listen, I know there are rampant times where this thing happens and not all of them are reported. But when this does come up to light and we can see it, and we see the damn cop in blue putting his knee on a guy who, yes, he was resisting arrest. Yes, he was he was not complying. Fine. No excuse for what he did. No excuse for all this shit to happen. No excuse for how the cops handle this. Everything is on the cops. And that's one thing. And there's another thing for the reactions of the citizens of the city of Minneapolis, the ones that decided to go out and do what they did, or the ones in Los Angeles that are deciding to burning damn flags and protest on a 101 highway. For what? We know, if they were doing peaceful protests, that'd be one thing. We know that's not going to happen here. We've seen Ferguson. We saw Milwaukee. We know what that was 4 years ago. Same shit now. Something about these hot summer months. But let me tell you, this with the coronavirus on top of everything else, that's the antithesis of the most frustration and anger and outrage and everything. And you know who's the biggest fault of this? Fucking media. Mainstream media gets this shit. They're the ones that put the panic porn out and scaring the shit out of people. And then the same thing happens here with this shit of getting people all riled up and angry. If you want to get people, it's all it is. It's fear and anger. That's all they pump out. Panic porn. And let's get you pissed off. We got you scared. Now we're going to make you mad. Come on. The media doesn't help at all to this mess. But I got to talk about this tomorrow on my other podcast. But this is all happening right now in front of my eyes. I'm looking at it on TV, and it just pisses me off, man. This is the same bullshit over and over. And it's like, what are we going to do here, man? Nothing changes. We get the same bullshit over and over, and it sucks. The cops fucked up. No doubt about it. And when it comes to everything else, man, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the rest of this, but it does piss me off to see all this going on tonight. And, I figured you guys can hear me rant about this because I was getting ready to go rant about wrestling because I do have stuff to talk about wrestling tonight. But this shit, man, that's all I got to say about that. But then it leads me to another part of frustration, which is not so severe as, burning down an AutoZone, breaking glasses in a Wendy's, or looting and getting an air fryer or a vacuum cleaner from Target, okay? I'm just saying. Then there's the anger and the outrage and the vitriol of people on wrestling Twitter. Because this has also been something else too, man. Wrestlers get a brunt of a lot of negativity. My fellow podcasters that have a following, they also get the outrage. And here's the thing too, man. And I'm talking to my podcast brother right now. All seriousness. There are many of those that do their shows. And you know what? You are going to do some things where you're going to have comments, you're going to have opinions, and you're going to say things that will draw attention. And when you are outspoken and bold and controversial, and there's a bit of shock and awe in what you're saying, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm just saying there are a bunch of people that obviously, again, all media, there's always something about a little bit of attention bait and things that you do to kind of stir shit up. And everybody's got their chance to go and gossip. It's so easy to do on wrestling Twitter. So common too. I get that part. So everybody has something to say about something, right? I'm trying to think back of just some of the instances before this weekend where we had a lot of things where, this is a constant AEW bashing or the WWE bashing. Just this weekend up until today, seeing the back and forth when it came to the suicide of Hana Kimura, a young, talented, beautiful, up-and-coming star in the Japanese wrestling ranks and could have done something in the States. But at 22 years old, finding success on a reality series that was being based in Japan, Terrace House, getting flack. I don't know if it might have been so much from wrestling fans, it was just fans of the show. And all of that took a turning point to Hana where she decided to go ahead and do what she did and take her life. And I know Anthony Missionary Thomas, if you look for him on Wrestling Soup, he's actually also, if he hasn't done his show already, I think they're already doing it on Wednesday or Thursday, I forget, that they already going to talk, he was going to already talk about the point of how she is not full Japanese, so there is a particular, there's a deal with how certain people that are not of full heritage, how they are treated and how they are felt and being perceived as outcasts or kind of half-breeds and things like that. It's a really fucked up way to go, right? But there's that was going on. Plus, there are people that are out there that are very vocal. And listen, some people handle, getting called out on what they say, whether they're right or wrong. Okay? There are people that are out there that will speak their minds. And they know the consequences of what's going on. But then again, some of the stuff that's going on here, I'm not speaking about what my podcast brethren say. I'm talking about where they also get the same negativity and they get blowback at them. Like I talked about Don Tony Kevin Castle. I've talked about JD from NY from New York 206, right? I haven't brought up Brad Shepard and the people from the Wrestling Observer and the people from PW Insider and Mike Johnson and all these other people, right? So much going on where there's all this back and forth and push, right? And so I see everything that's going on. And one of the things I saw too that really got people going, which I saw on a lot of my Twitter feed, was seeing everything going on with JD from NY 206 and comments he made about Alexa Bliss, which, if you've listened to him, he does support and he has offered praise to Alexa Bliss, but there were some comments he made that he took back and apologized for. All I want to say about that is this. I mean, he did what he needed to do, and it wasn't so much about saving face. It was just, the right thing to kind of just put everything into perspective. But I will say this, too. I used to listen to a lot of Tom Likas, radio show host out of out of Los Angeles, and he now has his own network, The New Normal, and still does his show's podcast. I know he does that still. So what's going on there is he always called out certain talk show hosts that would feel the need to apologize for things that they said. When the truth is, now he went to a point where one show that was on his station was a group called John and Ken. And I think were they on KFI or were they on that station? I forget, KLSX. Well, all I know is that he called them pussies for apologizing. Now, I'm not going to that level. I'm not going to that extreme with anybody. But what I am going to say is what Tom Likas would say about apologizing when you're in a business like radio and your voice and what you're saying, your words are going to have merit. Same thing with social media. What you say on here will have repercussions and have consequences if you are not watching out what you're doing. That's another thing that's got to be said. Now, with that all going on, my point is I have been learning from the likes of Tom Likas and others for years about how the people that I respect in the radio business and the people that do talking for a living and they entertain audiences, whether it's in podcasting or radio, which now more podcasting than ever, is the fact that you have to be able to go ahead and have convictions in what you say. And the convictions in what you say should not require you to apologize for them. You need to stay in strong and in your convictions of what you believe and what you think. You are allowed to be debated and discoursed. You should accept debate and discourse. And you should accept the fact that, okay, somebody's going to say something and that you might disagree or you might have an opinion. And that opinion can be swayed. And I know I've been wrong on things for some times. So I'll say I'm wrong. Or I'll say, now I understand where you're coming from. My opinion can be swayed. It can be changed. I'm not an old dog that can't learn new tricks. But what I can tell you is, I haven't said anything on this program or anything that I've done in podcasting where I felt the need to apologize for it, where I had to say something. I can't think of one. Now, somebody wants to try to point that out to me, but my thing is, listen, I don't have the biggest audience in the world, that's fine. I really don't mind that at all. I mean, for me, I've just been sitting around and just doing what I've been doing with this show and just, going with the flow with it, because I know there are some people that are listening to me. My thing is, this is a great outlet for me to go ahead and do podcasting because I get to go and talk about wrestling when I don't have that many people to talk wrestling to. I mean, Chuck, I had him on for a while doing the show with me, but the truth is he is a straight up fan of WWE, but just to a point where you really can't talk to him about everything else. I can't talk about the inside baseball stuff like I do with all of you, which I'm thankful for all of you to listen to this show and stick with me after all this time. Or if you found this show, I'm so glad that you did. Like, I know some people might stick around after WrestleMania and they find this show all of a sudden or a Royal Rumble, and thank God you did. And, I'm on the fence on a lot of different things. I don't put my allegiance towards anybody. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't put my allegiance towards anyone or anything like that, okay? I'm an independent. So you could call me Switzerland for all I care. But my thing is that I see how certain people talk. Now, I will criticize the companies, WWE, AEW, the corporate structure, because that's what I get pissed off about. But personally, I don't take it out on the wrestlers. I might make it a point where I think how the wrestlers are being perceived and how their characters are being done and how they're performing, that they're lacking. So I'm only going to talk about their craft. I'm not going to try not to put these people down as people, because they are people. Because more than anything else, anytime I ever had a criticism about anybody in WWE is because of how it's the way that company treats them. It's the way the company handles them on a regular basis. These kind of things bother me more than anything else. And it's just a common occurrence all the time. And it sucks. And I'll tell you, I know we just got to get ourselves past all this pandemic stuff. Everybody needs to be out of lockdown. We need to get out of the masks. All this stuff's got to end, man. We got to get ourselves moving forward, because right now this is done. It's like, shit. There's enough of this going on. It's just too much. Everybody's got to calm down. Everybody's got to relax. It might not happen, but I got to at least say something about it, because it's just the tension is high right now. And there's a lot of things that are stringing up other things that are just escalating it to another level. And we need, before things start going too far, everybody's got to come together and calm it down. Got to take it down a notch. Got to cool this off. And so my thing is, I just hope that everybody will kind of consider that. And just on wrestling Twitter, I hope people start seeing the consequences of what's going on. And please just keep in mind, listen, got to learn how to debate and discourse. And be able to go and talk to people. Agree to disagree. And taking insults on people is just not any good. Again, not pointing anybody out. I'm just saying it as a generality. So anyway, we'll leave it there. I'm not going to say any more about that. But I am going to move along now into the issues I just continue to have. Look, and I know I bash WWE on a regular basis. But they are, my reasons are justified. But then also, my other thing is, I just get upset with everything that's going on with all that's involved with how I know WWE's been trying their best on a number of things to try to to persevere during the pandemic. It's really what it is more than anything else. They're just trying to keep everything relevant and keep themselves moving along, because the truth is, even Brian Alvarez at Wrestling Observer said it itself, they're going to make so much damn money off the broadcast deals. They're going to make more money than they ever have. So they're not hurting in that respect. But, Vince feels the pressure from a number of different perspectives when he knows that he's had bullshit going on when it comes to losing the XFL, or if he's going to be able to sell it off to somebody else and all that's going on there. The season's gone to shit. Then you got started to get some losses, and when the stockholders started to see what was going on with what happened, first quarter numbers came out, the way they had to respond to it, and the ratings going down, they took action on behalf of the shareholders. They felt like they needed to do something. They had to make a response. And the problem is, because of this corporate system that they're in, the response sucks. And here we are. Same bullshit over again. What else are they going to do? There is nothing else they could do. So they're in a tough spot. They've had to make decisions on a corporate level and also from a liability level because they're publicly owned and traded. Meanwhile, the private companies that are AEW, Impact Wrestling, and others have been able to go and do things where they handle things in a different fashion. AEW, for the most part, have been able to go ahead and do their shows as they wanted to with some kind of crowd, even though it might be just the wrestlers, or now they have a few more fans out there, things like that are going on a regular basis. They're doing that at this point. And that's, for them, to their benefit, they've actually been doing what they can to kind of keep their ratings up, which I can appreciate what they're doing. That I can't knock to. So that's good. So that I can appreciate altogether. That's good stuff. And Impact Wrestling had a number of tapings. They moved along. Now they're having to do their shows with the empty crowd. But again, they continue to do things where they are trying to keep it interesting, keep it moving along, and that's great. And then you have MLW that had a certain amount of shows. They were able to go and string out episodes up until now, but they are still being very creative. Now they have the anthology series that they're running just past content from their early years, which is good. I mean, they can run that for a while until things get back to normal, or they can get themselves back up to where they need to go. Same thing with NWA. They ran content they could do. They were trying to string along their YouTube channel, and now they're doing Carneyland. They're trying to do things to keep themselves relevant, which is, hey, give them credit. And AEW has probably been the most creative and most, I would think, slightly more successful than everybody else, and being able to go and keep their model, their normal business model, how they run shows. They've been able to keep it consistent. They've been the most consistent of all. They've been able to do it. And that's to their credit. And there's a lot of resources they're benefiting off of, thanks to, they're having an owner like Tony Khan, keeping everything controlled in Jacksonville at Daly's Place, having that great venue to work off of. All the resources of the Jaguars organization they've been using for the last couple of weeks, they've been doing really well. And they have persevered. They have been consistent. And they haven't felt like they've been affected too much by the pandemic. And the best thing for them is they've acknowledged it more than anybody. Meanwhile, WWE has not been able to do that. And when they've made some decisions, they have been hesitant. And, they've had to work their way through and navigate some tough situations. All going back to WrestleMania. And I think they did a really good job with their ass on the wall. Really, when they had they were on their heels trying to deal with everything going on with that. I got to give them credit. That was pretty well done. Now, other than that, I think one thing that's got to be said is after WrestleMania, the cinematic stuff has been working. The extra special stuff they've been doing, like the Money in the Bank ladder match, that stuff's working. It's not a bad idea. I must admit, they've done some pretty smart things by how they've been doing that. Otherwise, when it comes to their day-to-day format, doing the empty arena matches and trying to work along like they do, but basically acting like it's still a live show, because they're not adjusting at all. They're still putting everything, they're putting, they're the amplified, volume to 11, and they're still going out there full throttle with everything as if it's in front of a live crowd. It's that they have to act like it's still like a live crowd when it's tough to even do that when they're trying to wait for a reaction, and the way they're trained is supposed to be to get to initiate and get a reaction. It's just not working. They did have the crowd with the Performance Center prospects and NXT stars around the ring, socially distanced around plexiglass, which I think the plexiglass was a bit extreme. I don't think that was necessary, but they decided to do that. And the one thing they didn't do was really use the plexiglass, so I didn't get what that part was. I don't think it helped much. I think you could have used the plexiglass as part of a match that could have been, some kind of a, no DQ, all fall, no holds barred, like falls count anywhere kind of match. I mean, you could have done something with that, I guess. But really, they're struggling right now. And the ratings have struggled a lot. For Raw to only pull in 1.7 million viewers, maybe 1.8, 1.74 for this week, and pulling just around 2 million viewers for SmackDown, all-time lows. They are struggling bad. And they're trying gimmicks to try to get things going. The IC title tournament, Randy Orton and Edge. Now they're going to do Rey Mysterio's retirement next week. They're trying to throw some booking up on the wall to try to get things running. It's just not working right now. People are just not responding to it. So you got that to deal with. NXT also suffering with no crowd. And the Cruiserweight tournament really not panning out and getting people much to it. I'm seeing quite a bit of negativity on NXT this week just for what they were doing. I mean, the one shining point that you definitely do talk about is Karrion Kross, yes, but he is not the end-all, be-all. He will not be, you can't put him on there all the time. Like, he's just getting started in NXT right now, so what are you going to do? Tough situation. So there's still a lot that you got to be working on right now to hopefully that they can find their way through. So now the details of what was going on with the NXT wrestlers as fans. So there were TV tapings, by the way. Most fans were happy to see wrestlers serve as the audience during Monday's episode of Raw instead of having no crowd noise while matches were taking place. That was the other thing, is you might have had the crowd out there, but they weren't really doing too much. They were basically made to be reactionary. And reactionary in the sense that they really didn't say anything much. Okay? They were just kind of just generically, very generic, cheering and booing. That's it. It's like Vince told the crowd, all you need to do is cheer and boo. Don't do anything else. Clap as necessary. Be clapping seals. That's what I felt like it was. It felt controlled. It felt contrived. It's not much better. You just look like you had a bunch of soldiers out there that were being told by the drill sergeant, this is how you have to act. And that's it. So now, PW Insider reported additional details that as Raw was taped, they also taped upcoming episodes of Friday Night SmackDown, 205 Live, and Main Event. And tapings ran between 9 and 10 hours total. Talent standing around the ring all day. They did take short breaks for everyone to sit in between matches with chairs being brought out and then taken, but the talent spent the majority of the day standing. The situation was described as exhausting for those wrestlers and trying to create energy all day. At the same time, some trainees who were also happy to be there since they haven't been able to do anything related to the company over the past several weeks. Some talent haven't been inside the Performance Center for some time. So again, they were recording yesterday, as I record. This is on Tuesday, so yesterday. They recorded next week's Raw, SmackDown 205 Live, and Main Event. And then tonight, they were taping several hours of NXT that will lead them up to NXT TakeOver in your house, which is next month. Now, the idea is to have the wrestlers around the ring in order to bring more of the traditional live event experience to the shows. Talent had temperature check prior to getting into the building and then check later on in the day. Now, as a report, we talked about how WWE decided to put plexiglass up around the ring as something that will become normal during the pandemic. When they can run live events again, they could use the plexiglass. Plexiglass is a way to keep an invisible barrier between fans and wrestlers. That would be a mistake if they kept that up. I think the hockey kind of thing that looks kind of stupid because, I mean, yeah, you might have people coming across, but I don't think fans are going to want to go ahead and buy $500 seats up in the front row when they can't have that. Plus, the plexiglass is going to be hard to see, especially to get in that ring. I'd imagine it's going to be kind of tough to do. I don't like that idea, but they're trying to think that they're actually doing something good to help people from contracting something. And I get that part, but it's just not doing really well. It's not the best move, I would think. This is where the company needs to go and realize, we don't need to go and stick so much to what's going on here. This kind of, the pandemic's going to be with us for a while, and we need to be overly cautious and apprehensive. I don't think that works so much. I don't think they need to be going that far, but they're going to. What are you going to do? All right, before I get moving along, I want to go and talk about the couple of stars that were furloughed during the coronavirus or were released as a result after WrestleMania. Well, some of them are already ready to go ahead and move along. Contracts have been signed, and some stars have made their way to organizations. We're going to talk about a couple of those free agents that have already made themselves on the television. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, do you know the story about Diamond Dallas Page? Self-high five, right? So I don't know if you knew this whole story about Diamond Dallas Page, but let me tell you about it. He was a 3-time WCW heavyweight champion. He suffered 2 ruptured discs in his back in the time as champion. And when he was trying to recover, he decided to try doing yoga one day in his basement. He never stopped. And then eventually returned to wrestling at age 43. Now, here's the thing. Early in his career, he tried to go ahead and wrestle. He actually had ruptured 2 discs in the back when he was training. And then he decided to go ahead and get into wrestling. And at age 43, he got into the ring. He says to the New York Times, when he was asked about this, quote, "For the first 42 years of my life, I would have been caught dead doing yoga." He says during his career, he tore both rotator cuffs, his left knee meniscus twice, and his right ACL. He decided to develop his own kind of yoga, not unlike Broga, that would cater a little more toward the macho, manly, or bodybuilder types who were otherwise broken down. He began reaching out to other fellow former wrestlers, all suffering from one ailment or another, and thus became DDP Yoga. And some of the people that decided to go ahead and take part in this program, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Jerry Briscoe, and most notably, Jake the Snake Roberts, who we see on AEW Dynamite every week. They're among those for whom Page's practices have made a tremendous difference in their health and in their lives. DDP Yoga, Page calls it. It combines yoga with calisthenics, so with push-ups, lunges, etc., and more traditional strength-building exercises. It blends the power element of yoga with its therapeutic benefits through stretching and proper bodily alignment. DDP Yoga also incorporates dynamic resistance, which Diamond Dallas Page refers to as engaging all the body's muscles and then moving against that tension. So go ahead and head over to my link at WrestlingIsReal.com. Go right there to that nice new flashy banner. Click through, and then you'll see where you can get your hands on DDP Yoga, and you can try it out. There's a personal training app for all fitness levels available for iOS, Android, and the web. 7-day free trial. You could try it out for yourself and see if it works for you. He even has a yoga program for kids that's also available. But here's the deal. You can get in there, achieve your goals anytime, anywhere, low impact, high cardio, designed to heal your body. Losing weight is just an awesome side effect. That's what it says at DDP Yoga. Go through my website, WrestlingIsReal.com. Try it out for 7 days. If you like it, stick with it. I mean, especially if you're going to be locked up at home, you want to get yourself in better shape. You've probably been eating a lot. Hey, I've been eating a lot during coronavirus. We all been doing it, okay? Take advantage of the program. Get yourself on the plan. And I'll tell you, they got the plans up there. They're not afraid to tell you. You can get it. Try it for 7 days. Again, track everything. Personalized program. You can learn recipes for DDP. Get motivational videos. You can try it for free. And also, they got free trials. And they got memberships. Memberships are great. $29.99 for a month, $39.99 for 3 months, And you could actually sign up for a whole year for just a little over $100. That's it. So good pricing, and you can try it out for 7 days. So please go through my link at WrestlingIsReal.com. Try it out for 7 days. I'm not telling you to buy anything. So if you put it on there, you don't like it after 7 days, you can cancel. But try it out for 7 days. See if you like it. What have you got to lose? DDP Yoga. Check it out through WrestlingIsReal.com. Look for the banner. Click through it. And check out and see what you think. Few names made it into the ranks right now when it comes to who showed up tonight on Dynamite. FTR, or The Revival. They made their debut. Did not attack the Young Bucks. Actually attacked the Butcher and the Blade, which I forget if they changed their names or not. I was watching them, but I didn't get a chance to hear what they did, but I saw that the gimmicks are not as they were anymore. Allie's not part of that group anymore for whatever reason. Deonna Purazzo, the Virtuoso, did a vignette for Impact Wrestling. She'll be coming in very soon, coming back to Impact Wrestling after she left Impact Wrestling to go to WWE. And for whatever reason, Deonna Purazzo just gotten the short end of the stick. She's talented. She's gorgeous. She's in great condition. She's a great wrestler. She's very good. And I hope very much that she gets herself all together. Britt Baker going out for an injury, but hopefully keeping her out there to do promos. I love that. Actually didn't mind I like Cody's promo being the new TNT champion. I actually thought that was actually well done tonight. So we're going to get Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson. Interesting. I wonder how they're going to pull that out. Now, again, if you didn't get a chance to watch Stadium Stampede and AEW Double or Nothing, go watch it. It was really great. Awesome stuff. And to see what was going on here was interesting. Now, another interesting story right here is this. So tonight, there was a cage fight with Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. Timothy Thatcher from MLW. And they decided to have a match where these two guys split off, decided to fight each other in a fight pit match. Kurt Angle was a special referee. Thatcher forced Riddle to pass out to win the match. And then Riddle knocked out a couple of Thatcher's teeth. Dave Meltzer reported that Matt Riddle's going to be moving to the SmackDown roster, headed by Bruce Pritchard. And the decision is instead of Raw is because Paul Heyman is a big fan of Riddle. And that might be why Riddle is not on Raw right now. Because of the fact that of the animosity between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle. So here's the thing. I've already said this before. You know, you think about Undisputed System, Undisputed Era, and Shock the System. So they're just shocking NXT. But unfortunately, the shock of that brand and the shock of their stars that are mostly Ring of Honor stars, from Keith Lee to Damian Priest, I don't expect them to make much of a difference. The only one right now that I really see making a definite look, getting people a double take on NXT right now. The one draw I think there would be right now is Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux. No doubt about it. It has not taken much time for him to go and all of a sudden step up and just be noticed. And it's dependent upon WWE to really just kind of just do the right thing by not overexposing and not tweaking or doing anything to what he's doing. You just got to be watching out what's going on here. And that's what's got to be kept in mind. But for the most part, they're doing relevant by him, and they're eventually going to have to move Karrion Kross to the main roster. I mean, people need to know that. This character cannot just stay in NXT. There's just no way. You want to just have him going with Ciampa and step up here? There's not a lot of feuds I see Karrion Kross needing to have in NXT. I just feel like that guy needs to be moved to Raw as soon as you can and get that thing stepped up. I mean, seriously, get all this going on, then start doing vignettes and start leading him up to the main roster. Get it up there. Why not? Get it started already. It's that time. Otherwise, when I look at other things that are going on, I still like where Drew McIntyre is when it comes to everything. Seth Rollins, better. I think the thing he's been doing with Rey Mysterio was actually pretty good. And, a little more severe, a little more aggressive. I actually like that part. I don't think Austin Theory moving over to his stable is a bad thing. I think she think that's not that bad at all. And I guess Authors of Pain are kind of off script here. So, it's like Seth Rollins just a pair of edge heads, basically. I mean, I would like to think that Austin Theory and Murphy are not lackeys from the Authority like he had before. I wouldn't like to think it's like that. With Mercury and Jimmy Noble. I would hope it's not like that. But they're definitely not being treated like that. It's a much more serious heel character. And I actually like that. So I'm going to leave it there. I think I made my points. I think I've said what I need to say. And finally, remember, not only do I have that DDP yoga thing going on right now that I hope you guys will take advantage of, the 7-day free trial. Also, do your shopping for Amazon through kingofamazon.com. I hope you'll look at that as well. And take a look at WrestlingIsReal.com. Look at the website. I've done a lot of changes. Right now, the mobile site, I made it much easier for you to go ahead and look for all the shows. The Spreaker feed's up there where I host all the content. You can find all the shows right there. Go right to it, download, listen to everything. And also I have links where you can go ahead and find where the show's at so you can actually download it yourself. And remember, subscribe to the show. I hope you'll do that. And I hope you'll come back for the other Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast, brought to you by KingofAmazon.com. For more information on how to subscribe to the show, how to share the Wrestling is Real podcast to listeners like you, and check out the latest wrestling headlines, go to WrestlingIsReal.com. That's WrestlingIsReal.com.